on the same field. Let's go ahead and play, before we get to the answers, play the Will Levis Panthers pre-draft process story from the Titans rookie quarterback yesterday.
How closely did you get to know Carolina's staff in the pre-draft back in the spring?
Pretty close. Yeah, I mean, I had a dinner with them, and then I had a top 30 visit with them, and just had a decent connection with them. I know that they did the same process with the three or four quarterbacks or whoever they brought in, but they were very professional about all of them, and I thought that they were a well-run organization.
Is there a point where you thought you might be the pick there? Just kind of how do you think about those meetings?
Not really, no. I think I went out there for my top 30, and not that they said it in words, but essentially the vibe was, hey, like, thanks for coming, but and then I think it was like two days later, like, the reports come out like Will Levis reportedly supposed to be number 1 pick to Carolina. I really wanted to just stand up on top and be like, they actually told me the opposite. But no, I mean, all respect to Coach Reich and all of them. They handled that process with all the integrity and all the right ways that they should have. And looking forward to competing against them.
All right, so to the chat you go, Sam. Big deal, small deal, or no deal that Will Levis has a chance to outperform number 1 overall pick by the Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young, on the same field Sunday in Nissan Stadium? What are the people saying here?
Curtis says no deal, says it means nothing. Donnie says big deal. Darren says no deal, a no deal from the other Darren. We have a big deal from Colby, a small deal from Jaron, a big deal from Guy, small deal from Billy. Big deal, says Deborah. No deal, says Jody. No deal, says Jonathan. Huge deal, says Johnny. We have a no deal from Dre, a big deal from Jay. No deal, says Luman. No deal, says Titans Kyle. Big deal, says Paul. Scott says it's a small deal. Jonathan says it's a no deal. So does Andre. Tighten up, comes in small deal. Big deal from Linwood. Small deal from Devin. Small deal from Tiffany. Says the O-line won't let anything great happen, so just a small deal. No deal from Clayton. Big deal from Chris. Small deal from King JP. Good variety in the answers here, Austin. So some small deal, some big deal, some no deal. And I do think it's important to qualify this question a little bit and say, Tiffany might be right. Like, the offensive line might not allow Will Levis to do anything. But I think you're asking, is it a big deal if Will Levis comes out and just outplays Bryce Young? Like, what is that, a big deal, a small deal, or a no deal? It's not about what will the Titans offense allow Will Levis to do. It's the opportunity to put on a show and look better than the number 1 overall pick, and whether that's a big deal, small deal, or no deal for Will Levis and for the Titans. Austin, I'm curious where you fall with this one.
I think it's a big deal because Bryce Young was the best quarterback prospect in the draft, right? Like, there really wasn't much of, is it Stroud or Bryce Young? It was Bryce Young, who's number 2. And then it was like, okay, is it Stroud, Richardson? Where does Levis fall into this? And so I think it's a big deal because not only does it show the NFL and continue to show the NFL that the Carolina Panthers gave up DJ Moore and a bunch of other draft picks, the Chicago Bears.
Which one of them is probably going to be number 1 overall.
Right.
Like, you probably gave up DJ Moore, the 9th pick, this year's first round pick, which is going to be number 1 overall, all for Bryce Young. You put all your eggs in that basket here.
Yes. And by the way, when you're talking about tanking, the Carolina Panthers are trying to win. Yeah. They are not tanking. They do not have that first round pick. There is nothing to tank for. They are trying to win, and it is this bad. Is it all Bryce Young's fault? No, absolutely not. But is Bryce Young having a rough year? Yeah. He started all the games. I guess Andy Dalton started one in Seattle.
And that
earlier.
was like the game they looked their best offensively. It was the one game Andy Dalton started.
But he's only got 9 touchdowns to 8 interceptions in 9 games played. It's 1,600 yards, so he's under 200 yards per game passing. He's got a QBR of 29.9, and he's been sacked 36 times. That's even 4 times per game. And he's also, he's listed at 5'10", 194. Is he 5'10", Sam? I don't think you believe he's 5'10". I think you think he's too small.
5'8".
So
Too
5,
small.
you think he's too small. So I think it's a big deal for Will Levis, who had, I think Will Levis by far had the most haters throughout the draft process of these quarterbacks. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would
The
say
most
so,
haters.
for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, he
and he
was
went,
certainly the most polarizing prospect of the four. I mean, Anthony Richardson had some doubters. There's people like myself who were saying, "Hey, that Bryce Young guy, that dude is not real. He is too small." That was,
He's not
there was
real.
a couple people like me that were saying that about Bryce Young, but for the most part, yeah, Will Levis had the most haters for sure.
So it's a big deal for me for Will Levis to do this. And now Will Levis can take the Carolina Panthers words or, oh, thanks for coming to the visit, and then shove it right back in their face after beating the Panthers, putting up multiple touchdowns, big plays through the air, maybe using his legs some, and say, hey, Panthers, thanks for coming to Nashville. Hope you enjoy Broadway. And then get back out to Carolina and go back to Charlotte with your miniature quarterback